And Phil.
Let's try that again. I'm Ray.
I'm Barb.
I'm Steph.
And I'm Phil.
There you go.
It's like a pause. And I'm Phil. Do we remind everyone who Phil is in case our members don't know?
Phil, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Phil Hawkins, the CEO of Pacific West Association of Realtors. And I think I know all 13,000 of you, but just in case I haven't met one or two of you, it's nice to meet you.
Yes.
Well, thanks for coming on with us today. I think it was very important to have you on to just kind of keep us in check more than anything for all the stuff we need to talk about.
A fun fact is Phil actually gets nervous when we do our lives.
I do.
He's like, wants to run down the hall to the video room.
I always loved when you recorded it before and I could watch it and make any changes before it went out.
Now you just let us go rogue.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, clearly we're virtual today.
Yeah. Thank goodness for technology, right?
Yep.
A bunch of realtors are going to ask, what software are we using? It's BeLive.tv. It's amazing. And it allows you to go into Facebook Live with more than one person in different locations. So if you're wondering how we're doing this, that's how we're doing it. And we can see your comments. So if you do have any questions as we chat, please put them in the Facebook comments and we'll be able to see them in the comments on the screen. Take it away, Ray.
Well, obviously we have a lot to talk about, a lot going on in the industry, a lot of frustration, a lot of unknown. Every day it feels like something is changing and different. So our main focus today is just going to be talking about how we are coping with everything that's going on and how we should be continuing moving forward. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about what we each see coming down the pipeline, how long this will take. Yesterday we had a call with a bunch of our board members and just mutual friends, and a lot of us had very different opinions on how long this whole thing is going to last. So it's really unknown, but we just wanted to get out there, talk with you guys. We'll hopefully answer some questions and we can interact with everyone, and we'll just kind of take it from there. So I guess we can start with Barb. How are you doing? Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing and how you're dealing with everything.
Yeah, thanks, Ray. So I think that, for me personally, I'm just trying to stay engaged and in front of and connected to as many of my clients and friends as possible. I do truly believe that this shall pass. And I do believe we're all going to have a robust real estate practice when this is over, even though we feel temporarily challenged or constrained in what we can do. The one thing I want to remind our members is there's two things that you can control: your attitude and your activities. And I do believe that we can all still do activities through this. And what I mean by activities is, I have a daily goal every day of how many people do I want to reach out to. And this isn't reaching out to them to ask them if they want to buy or sell real estate. This is reaching out to them and saying, how are you? How can I help you? Is there anything that you need? I think that if we're going to value in these times of needs, you guys as realtors will have more business than you know what to do with, but you've got to be in front of your people right now more than ever. And then the last thing I'll add to that is social media. Social media and being there to keep people connected and to stay in front of people. If you need to learn how to use social media, March and April of 2020 is now the time for no more excuses on how to use social media and video and all the other amazing technology that we have to keep us socially connected.
And another thing people can be doing is taking some of the CAR online classes. I had a newer agent that just joined me recently, and he said, hey, what do you think about taking a few of these classes? I said, we got nothing else to do. If you're sitting at home all day, do it. And 3 days later, he sent me a certificate and said I did it. It was, I think, like a first-time buyer program on how to work with first-time home buyers. I thought that's a great thing to be focusing on, how you can better yourself through all this and staying home. I personally, I'm staying home. I just have 3 little kids. I don't want to risk going out and doing anything. I have taken some new listings in the last week or so, and it's all been done over the phone. And we're doing the 3D tour, and we're just trying to be smart. So for our production, we asked the owners to not be home, and we went in and we did the Matterport. Luckily, I own my own Matterport, so we did a 3D tour of the house. And now on the MLS, it just says, please look, there's no showing instructions. It's check out the Matterport and look at the pictures, and you can make an offer subject to inspection. And I think we have to just adapt and see how we can keep working and adapt.
Yeah.
Ray, I don't know if you saw that a lot of our classes, all of our live classes, those that were available, we transfer those over to webinars. If you look at our website, I think we have 7 to 10 webinars over the next couple of weeks too. So agents out there, if you're looking for those education classes, there's plenty of opportunity.
Yeah. And that's perfect time. What you were saying, Ray, is I want Phil to talk a little bit, because I think that's the number one question. We might as well get it out of the way now that Realtors are going to ask us is, the messaging you've been seeing from CAR, what the governor says, the LA County order conflicts all of that. So Phil, tell us what CAR is doing right now and when we might hear some updates.
So prior to coming on this call, I was really hoping we'd hear something from CAR. We are truly expecting to hear some information anytime now. The California Association of Realtors has been working with the governor's office to make some of the things we do in a transaction, some of the practices we practice, essential business practices. Right now, if you ask me today, I just looked over my phone. I haven't got any messages. Right now, all of our real estate practices are not essential under the current government code that the governor announced. Was it a week ago Friday?
A week ago.
Yeah, a week ago. So right now, if you ask me what you can do, everything has to be virtual. Everything. Mm-hmm. Now we are working with the governor's office to try to make some of our practices essential. So the first question is, can I do an open house? No, you're not going to be able to do an open house. That's not what we're asking for. But what we are asking for is, you're in a transaction and you need to complete this transaction. Can I go over to the house? Can I keep my the social distancing from my client? Can we do a walkthrough on the house? I can open up the door. They can walk through the house, especially if the house is vacant. There's a lot of things that we can do and still be very sensitive to this COVID-19 virus and the stopping of the spread of it. So we are working with the governor's office. We are hoping that we will get information anytime now, and the minute we get it, we'll get that out to you. And we'll probably do another one of these Facebook Lives to give you an update as well on what comes out of the governor's office. Now, I don't want to be overly optimistic. I really think we will get something. But we don't know yet. I guess he could come back and say nothing, but I'm really hoping we do. If you look at what's under current law right now, like home builders are exempt. They can build new homes. They can sell new homes. We can't. And so it doesn't make sense that we can't. So again, we're trying to do what we can to help you get back to work.
Yep.
And this goes back to what Barbara and I are constantly pushing is RPAC and our political advocacy and how strong our association is. So if we can get some of this stuff pushed through, that's because of the relationships we make with our local and state officials.
Absolutely. That's a good transition into, NAR. The Senate and the House have now both passed the the economic relief aid. I don't know exactly what the bill is called, but NAR fought really hard to get realtors into that, and I think that's kudos to NAR for doing that. But back to Ray's point, RPAC dollars and RPAC participation and support is what helps drive all of that.
And if you saw today, the House passed. The Senate passed it yesterday. The House passed it this morning. The president's already said he's going to sign it, and the biggest thing for us in there is that independent contractors are in that bill. So so a lot of our members are going to see that relief, and it should be coming real fast too.
Yeah.
And with that too, there's a lot that needs to be digested as far as that goes, but I'm sure as PWR is digesting it, we'll be sure to get that info out to our members as soon as possible.
Yeah. Stephanie, you as a broker,
yes.
How are you hanging in there? What are you telling your agents? I know that I'm a broker and you're a broker, but you're a big broker. I can get all my people on one screen. You can't get all your people on one screen.
No. And the silver lining to this craziness is it's forced us to communicate differently. And I truly believe there's a lot of strong relationships that are being nurtured and built through this. And that is something I'm totally thankful for. But we have, same as PWR, switched all of our stuff online as far as training goes. We've actually upped our training classes utilizing Zoom. We do a lot on Zoom. And it's a great time for our agents to be practicing their skills and perfecting their skills and listing presentations and buyer consultations and all of that fun stuff. So we've just amped it up and are doing everything we can to keep our realtors engaged and in the game.
Yeah. Something else that I just thought of that we didn't put on our little list of things to talk about, but we need to make sure all the PWR members are aware because CRMLS has sent it out. And unfortunately, they sent it out last week in what I call the Armageddon, right? Where everything was just moving so fast. And I don't think realtors may have been paying attention to their CRMLS emails, but the new clear cooperation policy and rules went out. And I hope your brokers, I know PWR will do training, but realtors go back and find that email and at least educate yourself. It doesn't start right away, but educate yourself on what's coming. Because correct me if I'm wrong, Phil, NAR is not going to push back that start date because of all this.
And CRMLS was, in communication with the NAR because they have to follow the NAR guidelines on, and the National Association of Realtors made that determination. They are not pushing that back, so it's going to be effective as of May 1st.
1st of May.
Yes, 1st of May. So it's coming, and so go read it. Obviously, PWR will get education on it, but that's something that's really important that I think got kind of not ignored, just overlooked in all of the craziness that happened last week.
I think we had plenty of warnings through the last few lives that we've done.
We've been talking about it.
So,
and
I don't feel bad.
The majority of this time too, if it wasn't for everything else going on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But on the CRMLS wagon, whatever you want to call it, we're on right now. They've also made some changes over the last week or so. For instance, removing the open house search field. What other changes have they made so we can make sure the members are up to date on that?
I think an important one, and back to Ray's point, is they've allowed virtual tour links unbranded to be put in the public remarks, which I think is a great step forward. Something I want to throw out there for those members that are frustrated about not being able to show property or not be able to meet clients face to face. A couple situations I've facilitated and been part of is, if your seller is tech savvy, there's nothing wrong with setting up a showing via Zoom where you could be on the video, your buyers could be on the video, the seller could be on the video, and the listing agent could be on the video to protect the relationship. Let your seller walk through the property. FaceTime allows, I believe, up to 4 people on a screen at one time, and WhatsApp also allows multiple people on a screen at the same time. So I think, to Stephanie's point, we're going to find a lot of technology and ways to, when we have relocation clients and out-of-town people that maybe we weren't as creative before. I think this unfortunate situation we're in is going to teach us that we can be more creative than we think.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think they're also going to have virtual tour fields that they said they're working on it that may end up being permanent.
Agree. Yes, they did say that.
Or virtual open house fields, I guess is what they were referring to. So I think that this will be ever changing and more than important than ever. Our realtor members need to stay in front of their email, look for updates, read all your PWR emails. We're not just sending you stuff just to send you stuff right now. Chances are it's very relative to what's going on. I know I just saw one before we got on this call that PWR sent out about the package that was passed. And so I think our members just really, Ray and I, for 2 years now, have been screaming at you to read your emails. So I guess you really have to now.
I said so, so you have to.
When you're talking about virtual too, one change that we're making, we're in the process of it. We hope to have it done in the next couple weeks, is when you're going forward to register for a class and you go to our website or our app and you register for it, the next screen that pops up, it says, are you going to want to take this virtual or come in our office? So as long as the instructors are okay virtual, now in the past we've had a couple instructors that didn't like it, but I think it's the wave. Well, it is the wave of the future. It's just how fast we get there. But we're going to be trying to do that with all of our classes going forward. So once you register, you decide whether you'll be watching it at home or you'll be coming to our office too. Again, once all this passes. In the meantime, it'll all be virtual.
Yeah. Ray, you're awfully quiet down there. What are you doing to stay engaged in real estate? You don't get off the hook.
Huh?
You don't get off the hook.
Oh, so luckily I had a handful in escrow, I think 6 in escrow. And so now I'm just kind of nurturing those to make sure I get those closed. And you know how everyone's always saying you should have your rainy day fund. Hopefully a lot of our realtors have that. But yesterday I was really thinking about it. And as much as we do want to keep things going, if this does go on for 2 or 3 months, the way I look at my business right now is I need to close out the 6 that I have, stockpile money, because in 3 months when all this blows over, I'm not going to have a handful of listings at that time but hopefully the phone calls start coming in, but there will be a couple months where I will not get some paychecks. And so I'm just trying to finish what I have. I've actually personally called all my sellers because I think I have 7 active listings and most of them are in the $1 million+ range. And so I've called my sellers and given them the options and let them know, like, hey, as realtors, we're really not supposed to be showing. And I have one person that asked me to keep it active. And we have a 3D tour of the property. The rest of them, they're all on hold. So as of right now, I'm really not getting phone calls on my listings. And my activity on my phone's gone down. To be honest, I'm kind of enjoying the quiet and spending some time at home with my family. And we made a fun video today about taking my DeLorean back in time to go back and find the first person that had the virus, and I'm going to save the world. So if you find that on my Facebook page, my daughter and I just made it a little while ago, and helped me take it viral.
I love that, Ray. That is, see, that's a perfect example of how I think realtors need to get out from underneath the Netflix and chill. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But if I can give one to, I was selling real estate in the recession. Stephanie, yes, no?
No, right afterwards.
Ray?
No.
Oh, I'm the Lone Ranger. What I can tell you about the recession. One is what Ray said. He's down there on my screen. Stockpile. Not stockpile your cash. That isn't the advice I want to give. The advice I want to give is
be smart.
Be smart. Go through your finances right now. Something I was not given advice early in the recession, and I had to learn the hard way. You need to go through your bank statements and your credit card statements for the last 60 days. You need to go through every single charge you have on there. And if it is not an essential need, like those subscriptions we signed up to with iTunes that are $9 a month that you forgot about, do you really use that app? Do you need it? I know $9 a month isn't a big deal, but it is a big deal. I can tell you when things are going to be a little slower and commission checks might be coming in a little bit slower than we're used to. That is amazing advice. On the marketing side, though, what Ray's doing, like, get creative. There's so many things we can do right now to stay in front of our database in a human way that will touch their hearts and show them that we care. And it's not about buying or selling real estate. They won't forget that. And they're going to remember you when this is over. They're not going to remember that person that was just hammering them, or, in some states you can't call anybody right now in some states, but I've gotten a couple solicitations that I don't appreciate right now that are taking advantage of this virus. And if I could say one thing to my members is, don't be that realtor. Be a human that connects with other people right now, because people will appreciate it more than you know. And I know Stephanie's a huge, she's that way. Stephanie a huge supporter of this as well. So Steph, what are you telling your agents?
Same thing. We're not saying stop and be done and going back to that Netflix and chill. You shouldn't really treat this as a vacation time. I think it's a good excuse to kind of take a step back. And like what Ray said, he's spending more time with his family, as I'm sure we all are right now, which is great. But we still have to work, because when this is over, and it will be over, and everybody we're talking to is, hoping and they're very confident that we're going to bounce back immensely. But to be part of that bounce back, you've got to be part of the now. So we're telling our agents, pick up the phone, call your people, just check in, see if they need anything. And it's a great time just to connect. We're seeing virtual happy hours left and right. We were all on one last night, and that is just a good way to kind of, shake off the tension of what's going on and continue living. There's no reason why you should be paralyzed and just stop.
And what's fun about all 3 of us on here, that we are all pretty big on social media and all in our different ways. So anybody that doesn't follow Stephanie doesn't know that she has a farm in her backyard with the cutest little goats and little chickens. She has a live chick cam, and it doesn't sounds bad, but it's a little chicks, live
Not
chick
that
cam.
kind of chick cam.
And she's got these little pygmy goats that are adorable. We've got Barbara over here, who is, I would say, the queen of social media, and she knows it, and she's awesome at what she does as far as just telling everybody the daily news. Barbara, I think I've told you before, but I'll have Krista come running into my room and say, "Are you watching Barb today? Because she's giving lots of good information." And so even Michelle, my assistant, does the same thing. She was like, "Did you see Barbara's video today?" And I'm like, "No, sum it up for me." And so we all have our ways of engaging our friends and our clients.
Right.
Everyone should find their niche and what they're good at and putting it out there.
I totally agree with you. You know, a couple ideas I have for our members, and feel free to go back to my personal Facebook page to watch it. But 2 things that I've done, and I'll tell you a third one I'm doing, is I use Be Live. That's why I know this software. And I go live into my Facebook. And the first thing I did was I interviewed 2 of my clients who are teachers. You all have clients who are teachers. I know this, or friends. You know someone who's a teacher. So I went into my Facebook page live with 2 teachers who gave learning tips for this new learning environment at home to parents. My database loved that. The second thing I did this week was I took a client of mine who's been worked at home for 10 years. And she's like, "Hey, if you need any tips on working at home, you know, I know." And so I went live with her. And then I was talking to my insurance agent this week. And he was explaining to me about all this relief package stuff. And he was explaining to me that, and it was before the package came out, but he was explaining to me that sometimes some of these government things, you have to prove you couldn't get help elsewhere. And so he was talking about how if you have a general liability policy for your business, you should file a claim with your insurance company so that they say no, so that then you have the leverage to go forward for other help. I didn't know anything about that. And I'm sure my clients don't. And that isn't necessarily a message for realtors, because you don't typically carry a general liability policy. But there's a lot of your small business clients who do. And they could use that information to help them. So think about your database and the resources that you have, and who can you bring in virtually to your database and your clients, because you're going to look like the rock star and you're going to look like the real estate expert because you brought in partners that you have that know what the heck they're talking about on certain subjects. So you all are capable of doing that. All of
That's good advice.
I don't see any comments. Nobody's asking us any questions, any comments.
Well, I got a lot. I did it as a watch party on mine, and I should have told you guys to do that. So I've got actually like 45 people watching on my watch party. They're probably realtors across the United States. But hey, guys, so just to reintroduce ourselves, we are the Live with Barb and Steph show of Pacific West Association of Realtors with the smartest CEO right down there in the box. And so if you don't know, that's who we are.
So while we're all talking, our governor is speaking right now too, and I keep looking over. If you see me keep moving my head. And just a couple things of note that I want to point out that he's saying. Number one, he just announced that there's going to be a moratorium on eviction statewide. You know, we talked about some of our cities in the past looking at that, but we have a statewide moratorium on evictions. Again, I don't have any details to give you. I'm just going off what I'm seeing in the background here. But the other thing that he just said that I thought was interesting is the other day when he spoke, he was talking. Well, first, when our president spoke, he mentioned that he would love to see operations kind of back up and running, say, around the Easter time. That might be overly optimistic, but I love that, you know, we're looking at a date to try to get things moving again. And at that same time, our governor of California said he thought 8 to 12 weeks, which pushes back much farther than, say, than Easter. Well, now Governor Newsom just announced he's looking at 6 to 10 weeks. So he did lower that number by a couple weeks. So that I looked at it as positive news, definitely positive news.
You know, I want to give our members something that I have a lot of medical professionals and a lot of smart health people in my world that I've been leaning on, because if you're not, again, ways to connect with your database, if you're not reaching out to your medical first responders and thanking them for what they're doing for you right now, every human should be doing that. I don't care if you're a realtor or not. And I have, and a couple of mine that are pretty high up in hospitals have all shared, and this is, I think, goes right along with what the governor's saying. They're saying, and because of when we went to stay safer at home in California, that we are going to see a surge likely in 2 to 3 weeks. And that will then taper off. And that kind of goes right along with what I think the governor's saying, because you can argue that we would need a couple weeks after that to make sure things have that curve has flattened. Yep. So I think that's great news, Phil. Thank you for sharing that. 6 to 10 weeks. We're already done with week 1, technically week 2, almost, right? Really, since like March 12th, when this really all got bad, we're already really on to week 2. I think that's great news.
Yep.
Any other Governor Newsom good news, Phil?
No, those are the 2 things I had right now, but I'm watching it.
Well, and that 6 to 10 weeks could easily get pulled back, because the one thing I heard the president say that was very direct yesterday in his conference, and isn't it crazy how we know who this Dr. Fauci is and what's the other doctor, the blonde? Like, we know their names, which really is weird to me, but Dr. Fauci and the president both said that they're going to be watching the data and the areas and the pockets very closely. And that, the whole United States may not be open by Easter, but the more and more that those numbers change, I think the more our governor will pay attention to that, and hopefully California can get back to normal sooner rather than later.
Definitely.
Well, we'll probably be one of the latter ones that are back to normal, but hopefully, definitely. Somewhere in that 6 to 10 week range, we'll be right there.
Yeah. Stephanie, you were on the CAR president call yesterday, and we were going to talk about this, about all these addendums that are getting thrown around, not the COVID-19 state addendum, but the brokerage-based addendums that are releasing liability and questionnaires and certification. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, and I'm sure if you're practicing real estate right now, you've at least seen one addendum that's been broker generated, that is releasing that liability that you just mentioned, Barb. And they actually warned us against that and said, it's you're releasing liability on something we're not supposed to be doing at all right now, which is kind of raising that red flag, not only to consumers, but to the government as well. And if we do, hopefully, knock on wood, become essential, or at least parts of our business will become essential, then CAR is actually going to create an addendum that is doing that same thing. So I think
sorry, Stephanie, you were freezing.
I did freeze. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
No, I actually reached out to our real estate attorney and asked him about all these that are floating around. But absolutely, his recommendation is that agents especially don't sign ones from other companies. Now, if your broker is requiring you to, then speak to your broker about that. But if you're getting ones from other companies that are not yours, my recommendation as a practicing broker is to show that to your broker before you have your client sign anything, you guys. These are going around like rogue right now, and they're all conflicting, and they all say similar but different things. And the piece of advice that he gave me was, most of these are saying that you're certifying things. And we're not capable of certifying anything to do with COVID-19, right? We're not medical professionals. So that's just my caution. And I'm sure Phil echoes that caution as PWR CEO, and John Giardinelli would echo the same caution to check with your broker before your clients are signing anything. That isn't a CAR form.
Before I cut off earlier, did you guys hear me say that CAR will create one if we become essential? Okay.
I knew that.
Okay.
Yeah. They said they're going to create one if we become essential.
And those forms in general, I've never been a big fan of. Anytime I'm in a transaction and then I get some random other brokerages, hey, sign these 4 disclosures that we created. I usually just tell them, sorry, no, I will let my client read them, but I'm not returning them to you signed.
Yeah.
Unless they're part of the contract. I mean, that's where you kind of get that if they write it into the contract and everybody accepts that. But to throw them out halfway through and they're not a part of it, we do the same thing.
Yeah. I think that everyone just has to be really aware. This is the time that you need to rely on your broker, and your broker is relying on their legal counsel. That's what we all need to be doing right now. I know, Phil, talk about the call centers and the message that you're sending out from the call center, which is the association can't tell you how to do your business.
That's correct. So I didn't mention earlier, but we're still getting around 200 calls a day from our members. And I encourage you to call. That's what we're here for. We were able to set up our whole call center from their house. They have full access as they were working in the PWR office in Anaheim. They have full access where they are at home. So we're able to provide almost all of our services that we were providing before. So please give us a call if you have questions. We are getting the questions on what I can and can't do. And that's a hard one because, CR's attorneys already came down and said, we are not considered an essential business. So we can't do this. So, we're here to try to give you some tools that you can work remotely. But as of this minute, the face-to-face can't happen. Now, I'm hoping that you're going to be hearing from us real soon to say this part of it can, but right now we can't.
Yeah, and it isn't the association's job to tell you right from wrong. That's where I keep saying, go to your brokers. They're smart people. That's why you work with them. They're smart people. That's what they're there for, is to tell you what you can and can't do as an independent contractor, not your realtor association. And I think that's why people are getting confused with CAR as well. And a lot of realtors are frustrated, but you have to understand they're just getting the information out to the 210,000 realtors, right? They're sharing it from a statewide lens. So it's important to remember those things, but go to your broker, please. Go to Stephanie, right? Don't go to Stephanie as the president. You need to all go to your brokers. Ray, you have a great broker that's staying in touch with you, I'm sure, on a daily basis. Yeah, PWR is some of the best brokers around. So,
and this is a good reminder for you brokers: be in touch with your agents. We're getting a ton of calls, and that's what we're here for. But keep communicating with your agents. Keep giving them updates on what you're looking for from your agents, because they're looking to hear that.
Yeah. No different than staying in touch with your clients. That's great advice, Phil. Staying in touch with your agents. And even though you have lots of them, whether it's breaking up the managers into different part of the alphabet or something, to stay in touch with your people is so important right now.
Yep.
Well, and it's a perfect time, and it's almost necessary to almost over communicate that stuff. Yes. But just so the point is getting through, and stuff is changing constantly. So it's the time.
Yeah. It's a fun time to be a realtor, isn't it, guys?
Yes, it is.
All I know is I made it through 2008, and you all will too. That's the hope I can give you, is we will get through this. I know, Phil, you were working with the realtors in 2008, and
it was,
and we made it through, right?
It wasn't a fun time at all. And 2008, it took a couple years to get through it. Where it appears that we're talking weeks, we're not talking years.
Yeah, and I truly, so Ray, you started out asking the question of, we would talk about how long we think that this is going to take, and obviously timing of when we can go back to normal life is different than real estate. And I found Brian Buffini's podcast with Dr. Lawrence Yun fascinating. And Dr. Lawrence Yun is the National Association of Realtors economist. And he makes a very valid point that we had a housing shortage going into this, and we will likely have a housing shortage coming out of this. And that is on a national level, you guys.
Yeah.
But on a Southern California level, we definitely have an inventory issue. And he talks about how rates are going to be a little volatile through this, but they're going to calm down and flatten out and be low likely through the end of the year. So that's what I want you all to hold your hope to, and your confidence to, is that this is a temporary problem. We're not going to be like the housing recession.
Hey, Barbara, what should things say behind you over your left shoulder?
This too shall pass. And that's my favorite statement right now. And I'm going to be transparent, because I believe being transparent and authentic is so important right now. I've had a few breakdowns. I have. This is hard. This is tough. But that every day when I walk in this office reminds me that it is going to be okay. And good or bad stuff passes, right? Yeah. This is a kind of negative thing and a frustrating thing, but good stuff passes too. And you gotta realize that you gotta ride that exciting, fun stuff out at the same time that you do the bad stuff, because everything's going to come and go. So,
if you could step back and look at this, it's actually making all of us better. You know, we're doing things we've never had to do before, but it's increasing our skill levels on the communication and working through issues. We're all getting better because of this. We really are.
I've realized that I can work from home and I am extremely productive and not obsessed with what's in my fridge. So
I'm sure your dad's gonna love you saying that. You know, it's funny. I hope that some of the stuff that we're learning to do now sticks around. Mm-hmm. I'm having fun doing virtual happy hours in my pajamas with my wine and my girlfriends. Like that, because their kid, they don't have to get a babysitter. Their kids are at home. Like, right, Ray? I mean, you and Krista and Harold and I could have a virtual cocktail hour and your kids don't have to leave the house or find a babysitter. Like, I think there's some fun, this virtual showing stuff, like doing a showing via Zoom. We got to remember that the next time we have a client relocating from Minnesota. Yeah. We can do this and we should do this.
Well, I can tell you on association, you know, we a couple times a year, we have really big events and we generally don't put cameras at these events. But I think, you know, going forward, the mindset of people, and not everybody, but the mindset of people is, you know what, I wouldn't mind looking at seeing that event, but I don't have the time to either drive down there. I don't want to drive. And so we're looking at, you know, providing cameras at most of our events. So we have that option to broadcast some of the information we're sending out there.
Yeah. Stephanie, Ray, are you feeling this as well? This is, I want to talk about this for just a second. I've never seen in I'm 17 going on 18 years of selling real estate. I've never seen so much cooperation between agents. I'm seeing a cooperation level and a communication level and a let's just basically get out of the way and figure out how to get this deal closed. And then it's about the buyer and seller and being flexible and being understanding and being reasonable. I am seeing so many realtor champions step up. And people are communicating and cooperating. And I hope that we learn that is so important going forward through this.
I've seen the same thing. I think and you put it perfectly, the champions of real estate. And there is a ton of collaboration going on as well. And it's really cool if you're part of, you know, last week I was telling my agents to stay away from those Facebook groups that are talking about this constantly because it's just stuff that's getting crazy and meddled and people are trying to interpret stuff. But now to see how are we going to work together to get through this? You know, what are you guys doing? And
Stephanie's frozen again.
We know what she's trying to say.
I froze again. Yeah. I do want to say one more thing now to kind of circle back. Oh, Ray, go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I was going to say to kind of wrap this up and circle back around to what we first started talking about, which Barb brought up at the very beginning, which was mindset. And I heard this yesterday, and that is controlling our mindset. And even if it's something so tiny and small on a daily basis, but the studies show that 3 thoughts lead to a belief and 3 beliefs lead to a mindset. So really control and take into consideration what you are telling yourself, what you are believing, because that can totally affect your mindset. So there you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, I think with that, we might be wrapped up and out of topic. So I guess we will end it like we always do. And we want to make sure you guys all stay classy out there and keep healthy and safe, guys.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.